Hello, everybody. Hello. Lovely to see you all here in the Fictionary community. I believe it's a special day in America and North America included. I believe it's Labor Day. And it's also a special day because we've got Kit Morgan in here. I'm just going to wait for everyone to come in. Lovely to see you, Melanie. Lovely to see you, Brandy. Lovely to see you, Linda. Really exciting day for all of us. Let me just admit everyone coming in. Hi, Kay. Lovely to see you. We're here today with the wonderful, the marvellous Kit Morgan, aka Geralyn Beauchamp, and is a versatile author with over 170 books and counting. Just now, Kit said she was a bit busy, and I was like, so have you just published another 200 books this morning? Because we're here to try and figure out the secret behind Kit's fantastic ability to write so many and publish so many. So whether she's writing historical or contemporary romance, suspense, time travel with a twist, her books deliver pure fun and romance. Kit's stories are whimsical, inspirational, sweet and clean stories that depict a strong sense of family and community. Her characters will seem like old friends, and readers have fallen in love with entire towns Kit has created and never tire of visiting them. When writing as Geralyn Beauchamp, her books are epic, adventurous, romantic, sci-fi, fantasy at its best. The Matchmakers in Time series, written under both pen names, are readers' favourites, a perfect mashup of both story worlds. If you like Kit Morgan's books, then you might also like Time Travel Master Book series, written under Geralyn Beauchamp, and can be found here on Amazon. Kit lives in the beautiful Pacific Northwest in a little cabin in the woods with her sister, nephew, two lovable mutts, and an obnoxious cat. Right, so I've just finished up this afternoon the Miss Hesper, a sweet historical Western romance, which I totally recommend. It is everything that is Kit. Also a bit teary at the end when, you know, the romance part of it, actually the HEA. I was like, oh, now I get to speak to the author. So please do pop any questions you want in the chat, and I'll ask them to Kit. And also here in the Fictionary community, remember, kindness is key, as the wonderful Katie McWilliams has written in there. Kindness is absolutely what we're all about, so let's make sure our questions are kind. Okay, so let's just keep that number in mind. Over 170. So Kit, how many is it exactly?
You know, I have to count now and then to check. And I think I'm about to finish up 173. I got sick last week. Otherwise, I would have written 3 books for the month of August.
So we need to know by the end of this session how that is possible. Okay, but before we get to that, I think we need to follow our journey with you. How do you get started in writing?
Well, I was a book reviewer for 5 years back in the 90s. So yes, 173 books, but the key word is time. And I got to know a lot of great authors. And one of them who befriended me because I wrote a sterling review for her very first book, and she was having a horrible month. And my review, basically, she was about ready to quit. She quit before she got started. But it was Julie Pottinger, also known as Julia Quinn of Bridgerton fame. And she encouraged me to write. She said, my gosh, your reviews are so hilarious. I can just imagine what you could do with a full novel. So I wrote one just to do it. And that was Time Masters. And then I stuck it in a trunk and it sat for 13 years. And then I pulled it out one day because somebody said, are you ever going to do anything with that? Got picked up by a small press. It made me some money, not a whole heck of a lot, but it was fun to go into Barnes and Nobles and see my book on the bookshelves. Then, of course, the recession hit, and my little small press closed its doors like a lot of other little small presses at the time did. And so I stuck it up on Kindle back in 2011 or 12, and it made me gas money. But then my daughter's student loans were coming due, and I thought, ooh, I need to make some more money. So what can I do? Because I worked for Jenny Craig for 26 years. So I thought, oh, I can write. I'm not writing another mammoth sci-fi. So I picked Westerns, specifically Mail Order Bride, because I thought, oh, well, those are fun. Read about a dozen. Some were great, some were not so great. But I did my research, and I happened to get in during what we affectionately call the gold rush, where you could put a book up. I remember putting my third book up for sale. His Prairie Duchess was the title, Prairie Bride series. Going to the movies, and 2 hours later, coming out and checking the stats, and I'd already sold 625 books. That's why we called it the gold rush. That kind of stuff happened. Then the gold rush ended X amount of years later. But I launched the first book of the Prairie Bride series in March of 2013. By April of 2014, I quit my day job. And when you quit your day job and writing is your bread and butter, let me tell you, you're going to write. That is how I have 173 books. I have to feed myself. So the moral of that story is you do what you want to do with your writing, whether it's hobby writing, whether you want to make it a career and a full-time job, whether you just want to do it part-time. It's whatever works for you. A lot of people got started in the gold rush. They realized how much work it was to live off of writing, and it is work. And they quit. There's a lot of people that did quit, or they just went to part-time or whatever. So I know Christina and Lucy both have told me there's a lot of aspiring and newer authors in Fictionary. And you guys have an upper hand, let me tell you, because Fictionary is a life changer. You can use this tool to be very productive. And I have told them, why wasn't this around when I got started? Doggone it. Because it's a wonderful, wonderful tool to make sure you have the structure your book needs to have so that you can submit to a trad pub or traditional publisher and know your structure's solid. If you've taken any of the editing courses that they offer, you know you're going to have a lot of what those editors at a traditional publishing house are already looking for. I got lucky. I just happened to have some raw talent, but it wasn't honed. And pretty much I was throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it would land just right. And a lot of times it did, but there were times it didn't. And Christina actually was the one that pointed out the reason you were able to get your spaghetti to stick at all is because you were a book reviewer for 5 years. It was kind of ingrained in your brain structure and what made a good story and things like that. 3 books in 1 month. Yes. Okay. I'm looking at the chat now. How do I do that? Well, part of it is length. One was a little novella, 28,000 words, coming out in a historical box set in October. The other one was a 45,000 word. Some people will call that a small novel. Other people call it a novella. In a series I created called The Brides of Fiddler's Gap. And the other one basically was another Fiddler's Gap book that I should have had finished by the end of the month and wanted to get to the proofers and everything, but I got a bit of a stomach bug. So I'm going to be editing after this and writing the very last chapter.
That's
So,
fantastic. So, can I ask you what's your typical day of writing? So, how do you get that procrastination monster and get
uh, well,
off
I,
your home?
yeah, well, like I said, when it's your bread and butter, it's a job, and it's been a fun job. And before a book a month, about 55, 52,000 words, and I was a slower writer. I remember thinking, oh, 1,800 words or 1,000 words a day way back when. Who can do that? But your brain's a muscle and you can train it. And I gave myself deadlines and I started to learn over time rather than just writing sporadically and trying to get a book out once a month. Um, I began to give myself structure. Now I am a pantser or a discovery writer. I can't outline to save my life. Reading how to outline your novel is painful for me. And I go, it's okay to just do the inciting incident and plot point one and the middle point and plot point two and the climax. You don't have to get real specific. That made me feel better. I learned to dictate. So I have dictated a lot of my books, especially the Westerns, because that to me is very easy. But you have limits there. Your voice can only do so much for so long. But the main thing you all want to learn is the difference between your storyteller brain and its timing and limits as to the rest of your brain. If you've ever heard of monkeytype.com, if you want to practice typing, monkeytype.com is fun. It's just a blast. I can do up to 100 words per minute, 98% accuracy. My storyteller brain, however, tops out at 45 words per minute. My average is 37.5. So one simple step is learn your own math. And once I learned my math, my average word count per month was maybe 75, 80,000 words. I've got that up to 140 by learning my own math. Okay, if I type 37.5 words a minute in 50 minutes, I have a chapter of about 1,875, which for romance, 1,800, 1,875 is, a shorter chapter, but that's what works for me. And I know I can do 4 of those a day, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. One thing that really helped me is I belong to a lot of author groups on Facebook, and one of them is called the Creative Writing Capsule. And this is something, it'd be up to Christina, of course, if you guys start these on your own, like romance writers start one, fantasy writers start one. When you're in a Zoom room like this with a bunch of other authors, it's kind of like going to the office and being in your cubicle and you're working. And in the chat, I'm taking a 10-minute break, be right back, or I'm going to take a lunch, whatever. And when I started doing that, I started easily 8, 9, and 10,000 word days because I was showing up for work. Everybody's word counts went up simply by being in a Zoom room just like this.
Wow, that's fantastic. I do love the idea though of know your maths. Let's just go back to that.
Yeah.
And then to write in scenes, you didn't separate it by word count. You said, I write 2 scenes in the morning and 2 scenes in the afternoon. And I like to write. And so, yes, at the end, that equals a word count, but you're thinking in a structured way for your story. That's
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Yeah. The beauty of coupling that with Fictionary is you can look and see what you need to write that day. Okay, I need to write the inciting incident. If you're following along your outline, I need to write that and, first characters or lead characters, number one's response to that. And then I'm going to have lunch and check my email. And when I come back, I need to write the second lead character's response, and then the whatever comes after that. You know exactly what you're supposed to do that day. But the biggest piece of advice I can give is know thyself. I just wrote before. I got lucky because I was prolific. I did have a natural built-in plot structure in my head from all those years of reviewing. And I became a 6-digit author, and I don't advertise. So world building is huge, but the very first step, whether you're going to be a hobby writer, a career writer, part-time writer, whatever, is know thyself. Every personality is different. And for me, it's got to be fun. If it is not fun, it's not happening. And I had to learn that about myself. And so to make my writing fun, dictation is fun, but your voice, it's going to take a beating if you're not careful. So I'll do a combination. I might dictate the 2 chapters in the afternoon and type the first 2 in the morning because typing's relaxing for me. I have a keyboard collection. Different keyboards have different, some are faster than others, some are clickety clackety more than others, but it makes it fun for me. I learned what my storyteller brain can do compared to just the rest of it. I can't
That's
type
really
that
interesting to
fast.
get other keyboards in. So if you're in a clickety clackety type of day,
Yeah.
you want that, and then in other days you might be in a smooth day. Now I do know that Barbara Cartland and also Dan Brown, they also dictate, don't they? I've always wanted to try that one out. I might give that one a go after I come off the call.
Dictation is wonderful. It's for health reasons. Learn to dictate, because when I gained a lot of weight when I started writing, because you're sitting, you're not moving. Dictation, you can walk back and forth. Now, I'm not in Oregon right now. I'm actually caregiving for someone in California. But I got 20 acres in Oregon, and with a lot of trails, I'm out in the woods. So before I figured out I could dictate on my phone, I carry my laptop around in the woods, blah, 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 blah. And you'd hear a twig snap and go, what's that? While you're trying to tell your story. But dictation is great. And it's as simple as Christina walked into the dark room, period. She heard a twig snap behind her, period. Open quote. What's that? Question mark. End quote. New line. That is dictation.
That's
Takes
fantastic.
about 2 weeks to get used to it.
Okay.
Give yourself about 2 weeks. The beauty of dictation is you are using a different part of the brain. So when you go to edit, it's like editing somebody else's stuff. But it's learning to enunciate. I was an opera major in college. So, and even there, it's learn your limits. I can do 56 to 75, depending on what kind of book it is. If it's a Western book or a time travel, the Time Master books are much more layered and big and epic and huge cast. And so they're very different. Westerns I can write in my sleep because I've been doing it for so long.
So Penelope Bennett's got a fantastic question here. In your shorter books, what's the average number of chapters?
Shorter books, it depends how short. My quote unquote shorter books are about 45K, 1875 a chapter. They tend to like, rather than 2 longer scenes, 1 big chapter, they tend to like chapters, shorter chapters, like 1875, 2000 words. Just 1 more chapter, just 1 more chapter,
That's
for the reader. Basically a longer book, which series is it? Apple Blossom, Love and Apple Blossom, those run 55 to 63K. So they're going to have more chapters. Matchmakers in Time, those are 90,000 to 100,000. Those chapters might be more 2,200. Some of those books I've written 2,800, but 14 to 1,500 scenes, 2 scenes per chapter. Time Master books, they are 130 up to 150,000 words, and they are shorter chapters because shorter, the pacing is picked up. And the reader's like, okay, I can stop here, because it's not taxing on them like, oh my God, I can't finish this chapter, but I want to finish this chapter, but it's 3 a.m. And
Absolutely. And it's absolutely wonderful to hear, Kit, that you talking in your structure the same way that Fictionary sees the structure, that it's not, I aim for X number of scenes per book. I aim for the scene to be this length. And I've got a strategy for my chapters for different genres. And you've got really in there, and it's really like very specific. You know your products and you know them inside out, which is amazing.
yeah,
Okay.
it's knowing your audience, knowing what they want. I have that. I'm in a very niche audience though. So I'm branching out into other stuff.
Romantasy, that's what everyone loves.
Yeah.
Right. So Katie McWilliams says, do you use beta readers?
I have never really used beta readers. My proofers are my beta readers. I had a full-time editor that I basically just threw him money, a stipend every month, no matter if he was editing or not, because he was worth it. Then doggone it, he got a divorce and got a day job and is taking a break. So, and I can edit. I'm just lazy. It's easier to hand it off to somebody else. So for the last year, I've been editing my own books, and I use a team of proofers. I have 3 or 4 proofers who are representative of my audience. If they don't like something, I'm going to listen and I'm going to make changes. And one excels at detail, and she's written character Bibles for me. Another one excels at grammar. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, so they'll all find different things.
Yes. So you've got Team Kit there. So you've
Team
got
Kit. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what's the lead time from the start of an idea to publish?
I have a relationship coaching and life coaching background, which I got into because of Jenny Craig. I figure if I can weight loss coach, I can do these things too. So I'm still coaching. I just found another venue to do it with. So what do I want to teach? Basically, I'll have an idea like, oh, well, let's make this about couples giving the gift of no. Meaning, you're not for me, I'm going to tell you no. It's not rejection. I'm doing you a favor. Trust me. I know myself. This isn't going to work. He's got blonde hair, blue eyes. This is his cork. She's got brown hair, green eyes. This is her cork. Let's go. Boom. I just start. It just all comes. That's a discovery writer. But with, like I say, the Fictionary, it's a lot more structured. So it goes a lot quicker than it was, where it would take me 2 weeks, sometimes 20 days to do a book. If I push it, I could do one in a week. But what I've also discovered is my storyteller brain does not like working on one book all day, 8,000 to 10,000 words. It does not like that at all. If I do one book in the morning and another book in the afternoon, it loves that. Has a little bit of ADD. And then when I joined the creative capsule room, it really loved that. And so the word counts went up. So it's a lot of self-discovery writing. It's not just sit down and write. What are your limits? What math works best for you? What timing of sprints do you produce the most words? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? How long can your storyteller brain go before it needs a little break? For some people, it's as little as 7 minutes. And so you structure your work around all these different things that you know about yourself. So you don't hurt yourself. You don't overuse your voice. You don't overuse your brain. I think the most words I've ever done in a day was 14.5. And my eyes felt like they were full of sand. And I've had some author friends do 30,000 words in a 24-hour period. And I'm like, because deadlines. And I'm like, why do you do that to yourself? Oh my gosh.
Because deadlines, I like that. Because
Pre-orders. They don't want to land in Amazon pre-order jail by not delivering on time.
so, how do you connect with your readers?
I have I have 5 Facebook pages. Geralyn Beauchamp has a Time Master page, a personal page. Kit Morgan has a personal page, a regular page, author page, a group called Kit's Corner, which is where my readers, I'll release a book in there first. They can basically say, I want a book about this. Can you write a book about this? Yeah, I want that same book. Okay. Next book. Here you go, gang.
That's amazing. So they feel like they're part of the story.
I will let them pick names. I will let them create towns. They have a ball. And my primary audience is made up of mostly women, but I do have a lot of men, age 65 and up. I call them my little old church ladies and men. They grew up with Westerns. They grew up with the Rifleman and the Virginian and, Bonanza and all those things. And so I'm giving them what they grew up with. And it's why they get the feel goods when they read a book with a lot of community in it. A lot of the books may have one kiss, that's it. But that's what they like. But a lot of people get burnout writing the same thing. And so you have to be careful of that. So don't be afraid to branch out. I'm branching out into paranormal. And I've got invited to write for a small press, but that's Regency, Victorian, and paranormal. Harlequin has bought the print rights to some of my books. And they want me to write romantic suspense because Pops was a homicide detective. My son was a cop. And my brother's a fireman, retired now, but he was a fireman. So, and I know a lot of cops and stuff. So they're like, oh, hey, you come fully loaded. Would you write this for us? Haven't got around to it yet, but it's on my bucket list.
Yes, in the back of the Hesper novel, it says that you're raised by a homicide detective, and one day you start to write those. So we're looking forward to that as well. But burnout is something that I can't ever imagine you having. But then that's because you've got strategies in place too, and you don't close yourself in. You open up to new ideas, and you're constantly enjoying the way that writing has opened up new ideas and doors for you. So that's amazing. Kit's way not to get burnout. Just keep going, but find yourself.
Right. If you find yourself and you know yourself, I can't recommend enough Becca Syme's Write Better Faster Academy, because this is what she does. She uses the Enneagram, all kinds of personality tests, and every last one of them basically said, if you're not having fun, it's not happening. And it's true. I have to be having fun while I write. That's why I write to music a lot. I'll even sometimes dictate to music. But again, if it's not fun, your creative brain needs breaks. I've found, I can take weekends off and survive. My brain is fresher. It's better working over those. I get more done in 5 days than I used to in 7 days.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it is just math.
Yes, that is it does seem to be critical, is to know yourself, but also allow yourself to build in breaks so that you can, let it all compost down and go into that heap of creativity. And sometimes it does all need to get pushed down and but then, yes. So thank you so much. That 30-minute has absolutely flown past. Kit is in Fictionary Live events with us, and she is in the community. absolute inspiration into absolutely. And if Kit can do it, so can we. We're all here, we're all able to, and we all, as Kit said, have that head start because we've got Fictionary behind us. And so we've all got that ability. Maybe the golden age and the gold rust has passed, but we can make a new one. We can make a diamond or a platinum one that's all about, if you've used Fictionary, you're ahead of the game. So let's just make sure that we use every part that we have and let Kit be our inspiration. Let's get those books done and out. Thank you again. Thank you so much for turning
You're welcome.
up. Okay, speak to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.